bloggers and YouTubers has find a way to once again put Pst Arome Osayi on the news, okay, simply because of what he said, or should I say what he said, or a video of him that got trended that seems to suggest as though he was referring to a video of Pastor Bolaji and that of Macaroni, where actually Pastor Bolaji actually used the platform of Macaroni as a comedian to advertise his program Next Level. Now, what actually prompted me to doing this video was when I saw this video in a YouTuber's page being rejudged, okay, and in that being rejudged analysis or commentary, he actually, in attempt to amplify the response which Macaroni gave subtly to the person of Pst Arome Osayi. Yes, of course, there was a post of Macaroni where he subtly responded to Pst Arome Osayi, and in that his post he said Pst Arome Osayi is pregnant with lie and deceit. Okay, so being judged in attempts to give analysis and amplify what Macaroni said, and somehow supported what Macaroni said of Apst being pregnant with lies and deceit. He brought a video of Pst Arome Osayi maybe to better illustrate what he meant that Pst Arome Osayi is actually being pregnant of lies and deceit. Now, we are going to be seeing that video of being rejudged analysis, okay, and as well see the video which Pst Arome Osayi said that was making round. So let's get into the video.
Somebody says they want to advertise a church meeting. Then you get an obviously strange comedian whose philosophy about life is built on advertising lust in brilliant ways. Then you are advertising a church meeting, and because it's about marketing, it's about the numbers, it's about the likes, it's about the online community that can be So a church meeting can be advertised on a platform that is built as an altar. So when you see the principles that can be employed, you know what you are pregnant with, whether it is God that impregnated you or whether something else is responsible.
Now, having looked at this video, I think first of all, the reason why this video is making a whole lot of views, maybe because of the calibers of people talking about Macaroni and also Pastor Idowu. I mean, looking at what he said exactly, those of you that have seen Macaroni's clip, well, I have seen one or two of his skits, okay. I, for a person, I don't even like his skits, but those of you which have seen some of his skits, okay, you would agree with me that even from the thumbnails, you would agree with me that most time he tends to flash that, you know, the backside, and some of the message also moved, for the few which I've watched, okay, some of the message also moved towards things that we might consider lost. So for Pst Arome Osayi to actually refer to him as someone which foundation is built on lust, I think to an extent he may not actually be totally wrong. I remember some time ago some persons called him out on the internet. I can't remember the whole story around it, but some persons called him out on the internet that everything about his clip is all about the female buttocks and the female buttocks and exposing some vital parts of females, and he also came out that time to defend his brand. And I think if you are to look at what Arome said concerning the person of Pastor Idowu, which I believe he was primarily targeting or referring to, as the video suggests, though he didn't mention his name, but there is every likelihood that he was actually referring to that video. Okay, now you would agree with me that for anybody to have employed the services or the likes of Macaroni to advertise a church program is largely based on online followers, okay, because Macaroni have millions of followers online. So if you want to if you are advertising your program on his platform, that means you are targeting his audience. So just like Arome Osayi said, is about the likes, is about the online participation. I don't really think if what he's saying is far from the truth, okay? Even though some persons might want to argue that, well, Mr. Bolaji, Pastor Bolaji, using the platform of Macaroni to advertise his church program is just like reaching out to his audience, that might not be safe. I understand some persons might want to bring up that argument, but do we also try to consider it in the kind of message is passing to have shared the same stage and to use the platform of Macaroni to advertise a church program? I mean, some persons might begin to see it as a subtle way of endorsing whatsoever Macaroni is doing as his brand, as he called it. Again, another thing to consider is that there are likelihood that Pastor Bolaji actually know the person of Macaroni in person, or maybe even attends his church, okay? Now, moving on to the video which being rejudged used in attempt to amplify the concept that Apostle Arome Osayi might actually be full of lies and deceit. He used a video of when Apostle Arome Osayi was making a prayer to avert the perceived evil leader that would ascend the throne, talking about the time of election. Now let's see into that video.
But I assure you, the name that is appearing is a terrible name. Can we cry now? Can we cry? Can we cry? Sensitive. Be sensitive. If it has not yet appeared, if it has not yet manifested, then it is subject to change. We refuse that the kingdom of darkness will take advantage another time. Refuse it. For a winner has been projected from hell already. We say, you shall not rule over us. So let all the infrastructure that makes for your favor begin to crumble from this moment, from this moment, from this moment. Arise, O God, and let your enemies be scattered. Let the investments that have been made to entrench servitude, let it fail. Let it come to naught. Let it be destroyed. And so tonight we dethrone in the congregation of the righteous every sort of infrastructure that have been put in place to give such a person that Satan has lifted an advantage in the outcome of the politics of Nigeria. We dethrone and depose, and we cause the edifice of strategies that have been built up to fall like a pack of cards in the name of Jesus. By all means, reign among us in the name of Jesus Christ.
Who is a terrible man? Prayer can change it. Now, this particular kind of statement like this gives a very soft landing, because now Peter Obi did not become the president or Atiku. The terrible man right here is actually who? Of course, it would be painted as Tinubu, Tifnubu, however you call it. So it's still being Tinubu right now at the moment. That means saying prayer can change it. The prayer was not able to change it, so no one would say that, oh, Apostle Arome Osayi said prayer can change who the terrible person would be, because if you look at it critically, who would have been the terrible person that would have been the one to be said to be the one that he saw?
What I don't cease to understand about Being George posting this video is how on earth does this video suggest the person of Apostle Arome Osayi as being deceitful or telling lies? I mean, if you understand in the time of election, okay, there were a lot of prophecy coming on. It was as though the chances of Peter Obi to actually ascend the place of leadership was very high. It was actually on a range of 50 or even 70 or 60%. So it was even very risky of any pastor coming up at that time to suggest that the lies of Tinubu was going to ascend power. So what I don't actually understand is, how does this video suggest that Arome Osayi was telling lie? Or maybe because of the word he used, that he saw something of an evil person projected from the air ascending the throne, that since it has not happened, we can avert it. I mean, this is scriptural truth. I mean, if God shows you a thing, you can actually pray about it. The fact that you pray about it does not actually mean that thing will change. It's still the right is still left to God to decide to change it or to intervene. So it was very clear, except Being George is subtly, unknowingly trying to tell us that anybody that comes up to say is hearing from God, that person is telling lie. Or maybe Being George is suggesting that God is a dead God for us not to even hear him. I mean, if you are a Christian, I think it shouldn't be a strange thing for somebody to walk up to me to tell me that a heard God said this. If you are a Christian, hearing God should be something normal. Okay, so for Being George to have used this video to suggest that Arome Osayi was telling lie, what I don't understand is this: is he trying to insinuate that people don't hear from God at all? Or is he trying to insinuate that any man of God that comes up to say he hears from God, then we should start looking at that person? I mean, hearing from God is a normal thing. I hear from God. Any Christian that is truly born again, yes, should hear from God and should actually hear from God. So what Being George don't understand in this video is just in a way trying to tell people that anybody at all, whosoever that comes up to tell you that he heard from God, that you should be wary and careful of that person. But that shouldn't be true, because if you are called a Christian, then hearing from God should be your natural life. You know, and also looking at the comments on the comment section, a lot of persons were also of the opinion that, come on, this video is shared, you should have used another video. I mean, I was expecting to see some kind of exposure that truly suggests that the person of Apostle Arome Osayi is actually full of deceit and lie. But this video, come on, this video is not it at all. And I just want to say this in our local dialect, which you understand. Ijiroku. I mean, if you actually see this video. So what I don't actually like is the subtlety behind his video, which him himself might not actually know. Okay, because trying to use this video to paint this man as a liar as a way of subtly instilling in people's heart that whenever you get to hear anybody at all comes to tell you that he saw God, he heard God, or he saw a vision, then such person might just be telling lie. But this is not true. I mean, hearing God is a common thing that should be a normal lifestyle of any believer. It shouldn't be a big deal that somebody comes up to say he heard God. And also the fact that it was very clear that this thing could be changed. Now, one thing you don't know is that in that same platform of Arome Osayi, if you have been following in very well, I remember very well that there was one of his pastors that came up to that platform to say that, look, from what he saw, the person of Tinubu is going to ascend the throne. However, God has a plan for his people. In spite of the fact that this man will eventually ascend office, that God still has plan for the nation. Okay, so I just like I always said, okay, just like I will always say, okay, whenever we get to do video that has to do with Christianity, we should be very careful not to help people to see another gospel which is not of Christ. All right, so this is Ifeanyi, and I do want to know what you think about all of these videos. Yeah, make sure to use a comment and leave your thoughts.